I am sitting here with Rachael from Saltmine for today's little interview. So, Rachael, just really quickly, hello.
Hello.
Just tell us really briefly, what is Saltmine for somebody that's never heard of it and thinks, what is that to do with salt and pepper, or what? What's this about?
No. Well, we're Saltmine Trust. We're a charity, and we are predominantly a theatre company. So we are theatre with a message, which is what our heart is. And do you want me to explain the different types of theatre we do?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So we've really got three key objectives, really. One is to really tell God's story through theatre. So we do passion plays, modern passion plays with a resurrection. We've got a play at the moment called The Liberator, which tells the story of Jesus's baptism, ministry, life, death, and resurrection. That's for theatres and churches to help them with their mission. And then we've got the Rhyming Bible. We've partnered with Bob Hartman, which is an all-age show for schools and, again, churches. Then we do preventative educational work. So we do quite a lot of work with police. So we've got a very, very dynamic play called Switch Up, which is a knife and gang crime play. And our plays in schools always have accompanying workshops, because that's when you really get the key messages out. We do a play on domestic abuse, telling true life stories. We do also do a play. We've got a brand new play on social media safety, because that is just huge now. So those are the secondary ones. And then in primary schools, we've also got a new play on social media safety. We've also partnered with the Home Office, and we've got a play on the British values. And then we also then do Christmas plays. We've got 3 Christmas plays out at the moment. We're doing over 80 different performances around the UK. And we always want to have a key message in our play. We want our plays to be bringing hope and light. And then we do partnerships. We've partnered with, for example, YMCA and told their founder's story, for example. So, yeah.
Wow. So 1 or 2 things going on.
Yes, a lot going on, yeah.
Okay, forget the interview. How do you keep track of all that?
Well, the big challenge is scheduling the work. And actually, post-COVID, people haven't got as much money. So we are having to raise more money to sponsor our works in schools and churches. So you do schedule the work. Christmas time is the busiest, because we have 3 full big shows going out. But then when we come back in January, we tend to have 2 shows going out at the same time.
So when you talk about a show, that's going to be a number of people going from one place to another. What sort of sizes are the shows that you've got going on?
So usually 5 is the maximum number of actors in a big show. We tend to go for 4, because you particularly with our secondary schools, you've got to have a technician as well. So about 4, and like the Rhyming Bible is 4. Blast Off primary social media was 3. So, yeah.
Wow. And you've got to schedule all these people to be in the right place at the right time. Logistics, yes, I get logistics. I understand it a lot, and I have lots of respect for getting all those people to the right places at the right time. That's amazing. Let's just come back to the social media one, because that's one that obviously we're radio, we're online. It's something I'm particularly passionate about for different reasons. But what led you to creating this particular show?
Well, we've always done an internet safety show, but obviously the advancement of, for example, artificial intelligence, the sexual abuse that goes on online with young people, all the different platforms that they can access. And sometimes they are just not wise they tell people without thinking who they are, their contact, their names. And so why we want to do a show is just to keep them a bit more safe and help them understand, yes, there are wonderful things online, but there are also some dangerous things online.
It's like anything though, isn't it? As much as the internet was an amazing invention, as much as social media was a brilliant tool. I mean, I've lost track of the social media accounts now because of the radio as well. There's loads. It's brilliant. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
Like any tool, you need to use the tool. And I think it's a bit like banks going back a few years. We thought banks were our friend, and then people started to realize, no, banks are actually businesses. They want to make money from you. And in the same way as social media, generally speaking, they want to make money, and they do that by using your data. So if we can educate, that's a great way. What are the responses you get? Are people like, oh yeah, we knew that? Or is it more of a, I had no thought of that?
Yeah, no, often we find in our workshops, young people have their eyes opened to actually the reality of the undercurrents that there are there, you know. I mean, the other thing I forgot to mention is we've done really quite recently, the whole area of mental health is huge.
It's massive.
So we did a big interactive workshop and we did some filmed sessions, which were a huge success. So we're just going to, in the new year, do a big project, a play telling true life stories with an interactive workshop. But I've also been requested to see if we could do something for the business world, to do an interactive workshop for businesses, because it is just a problem throughout our society, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, mental health, we understand that mental health is important and it can be affected, but it's getting younger and younger. I remember a couple of things. One was chatting to somebody when I was doing my GCSEs, so this is nearly 30 years ago, and they said, oh, you don't know what stress and pressure is. You wait till you get in the real world. And it was actually their wife that said, no, I think you're missing the point. I think the stress and the mental health is going to grow because the pressure on young people, it's not getting less, it's actually growing. Is that something you have seen?
Absolutely. And I think since COVID as well, isolation and loneliness has also rocketed. I mean, you know, I've got a daughter who works in mental health with teenagers, and it's heartbreaking, the suicidal rate, particularly amongst young men. So yeah, it's huge.
Wow. Okay. Right. So you talked about social media. I heard domestic abuse in there as well. So I'm guessing, do you do primary schools and secondary schools?
Yes, we do. Yeah, primary and secondary. But we have a very different play for primary and a different play for secondary.
Yes, of course. Wow.
Yeah.
So how do the workshops work? I mean, does the school get in touch? Can you come and do, I guess, an assembly style show followed by workshops?
Well, basically, the shows tend to be about just under an hour, and they are, you know, very much quite all singing or dancing. I cannot stand naff theatre, so it has to be a very high standard, and we've invested, you know, in very high tech, you know, because you need to be able to captivate the hearts of these young people, for example.
Yes.
Then we do an interactive workshop. But one of the really interesting things with our knife and gang crime play is we work a lot with police. And my heart is that if we can partner with the police and they go in afterwards, do a bit of an assembly or some interactive workshops, and then they do this knife, sealed knife collection bin that goes in for a week, you would be horrified the number of knives that get put in there. Horrified in the sense that the number, but in a way fantastic that young people are putting them in as a result of the Saltmine switch up.
Ah, so cool. It's the thing though, isn't it? I need a knife for protection. Yes, but having a knife means you're probably going to use it, which means actually probably taking a knife now you've escalated to, it's probably going to result in you getting severely harmed or killed. So if we can reduce the number of knives, it's not complicated. If we reduce the knives, then we're reducing the potential harm.
And we did this in partnership with police, and they wanted a fatality as a result of somebody carrying a knife where they thought they were carrying it for protection. Yeah. So it's very hard hitting, but it is. And then at the end that we do this funeral, and at the end we have images of young people that have died as a result of a knife, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
you know.
it is.
But
As a parent as well, you just think,
yeah,
oh, this is harsh. But this is also real life.
it is.
And as Christians, if we're not talking about real life, we might as well give up.
Absolutely. Well, we need to. Our work is it's a preventative education. We want to open the eyes of young people to the dangers of some of their behaviour.
I read it was one of the senior directors or managers, whatever the terms is, for Instagram, and she quit. And one of the things she quit for, she said, we are doing nothing to help especially young girls on Instagram, which is where she works, because of mental health, because the algorithms are such that it's not just there for them, it's actually pushing them in a certain direction. And we know it's a problem, and yet we've done nothing about it. And that was one of the reasons why she quit and then became a whistleblower. So,
no, absolutely. So that's one area of our work. But obviously, we absolutely love, for example, our passion plays,
fabulous.
Which is quite a newish, because we do it in modern dress. We always do a resurrection scene. And we did one in Birmingham in 2019. We did one in Norwich in 21. And we did one in 22. And we did one in Stafford this year.
Fantastic.
But the amount of people that have come to know Jesus through those passion plays and connected with churches in alpha groups, it's been amazing.
Superb. I have a friend who says, lean into the truth. Doesn't matter what you're going through, whether it's good or bad, lean into the truth. And the truth of the power of the resurrection is just so magnificently wonderful, isn't it?
And at the end, Jesus, his last scene is he invites people to come into a relationship with him. And we have a culture that just do not know God's story. And that's why we do the Liberator as well for churches as a missional resource, because we just want our culture to understand the story of Jesus, don't we?
Yeah, I think it was Andy Hawthorne was saying, I think it was the MP's prayer breakfast years ago. I'm sure he said, we need Jesus. It's the only thing that's going to make this work.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the actors you've got. Where do they come from? They're not going to sort of, spring out of the ground, here I am. How do you recruit the people that you use?
Well, we have a core team. So I will have interns, for example, but they have to, they're very good. They have to be of a very good standard, but that's often post A-level drama and drama schools. But we have a core senior team, and then we use freelancers. To be honest, all our actors, they are Christians, because we want to really pray together. We want God to use us. And so it's important. But we've got a great pool of very, very senior actors. So we are really blessed. So, for example, we've got full team with our Christmas plays. We've got probably 2 freelancers. We've got 3 interns, and then we've got senior team.
So are they people who have full-time jobs and then work for you of an evening or a weekend, or how does that work?
Yeah, they work full-time for us, senior team. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. How much time they can get to be with each other and prepare and all that.
And you know what? With freelancers, it's not easy being a freelance actor, because sometimes you work for the secular, and then they want to come to Saltmine to get a bit of breath of fresh air, but we stop at 1:45 every lunchtime and just pray together. And that's been very empowering as well.
Yeah, we stop at 11:15 as a radio station. Anybody who's on the teams or whatever. And it's really frustrating sometimes. I'm thinking I just want to get this piece of work done, but it's so good to stop. We have 10 minutes. We have a little bit of Bible and 5 minutes of prayer. Just 10 minutes.
We're the same. And it's so important to just, connect and just bring God into the center.
Reminds you why you do what you do.
Amen. Yes.
So tell us a bit more about yourself. What's your journey and history into faith and then into Saltmine?
Okay. Well, I was really privileged, brought up in Christian families. Grandparents were Christians. So I actually became a Christian when I was 5 years old.
Fab.
And so I then journeyed, I led the CU in our school, which was just if you've seen the Jesus Revolution, it was when we were having a little bit of the revolution come into England in the mid 1970s. And so our CU, we had a huge CU, 90 young people, and it impacted the school. I've worked a bit with Youth for Christ. And then I got married, had children. We've got 3 girls, 5 grandchildren now.
Wow.
3 son-in-laws. And then I worked for Spring Harvest. I was on the Spring Harvest leadership team for 15 years. And then I did a master's in applied theology and leadership. And then I've been working for Saltmine for 13 years. So that's telling you my journey of employment and work. But yeah, I'm a passionate follower of Jesus, and he's been very central in my life ever since I was little. Which is shouting out, which is lovely. And congratulations on all the grandchildren. That's fabulous. Yeah, thank you. What's it like being a grandma? Oh, it's a real privilege. And do you know what? I remember talking to my grandfather. My grandfather, when he retired, he prayed for 2 hours every morning in his study. And I remember as a 7-year-old going in and asking him, and he sat me on his lap and he showed me that I was on the top of the grandchildren list because I was the oldest grandchild. And I asked him what he prayed for. And he said, Rachel, I pray that you will be a passionate follower of Jesus all your life, that you will marry a God-loving man, that you will have God-loving children who will also marry God-loving partners, and you'll have wonderful grandchildren. And, you know, he prayed every day for 12 years, and all my girls are passionate followers of Jesus, and I've got 3 great son-in-laws, and I really give credit to the investment of prayer that my granddad did. We cannot really pray too much, can we? No. Definitely. I can echo some of your story because my 2 older sons, they both came to faith when they were 4. My youngest son, it was the day before his 4th birthday. And a few people said, there's no way he can know who Jesus is at that age. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And it was actually one of the teachers in the church, children's church at the time. And they said, what's happened to him? He's transformed. All of a sudden, he's got such a clarity about what's right and what's wrong. He loves Jesus in such a way that I can't, what's happened? And I shared what had gone on. That explained, he said, I'm in no doubt. I know he's absolutely a Jesus-loving kind of guy. And that was, the day before his 4th birthday. So, and I prayed every night since before my oldest son was born, 3 months before he was born. I used to lay my hands on my wife's stomach and pray for him. I've done it every night since, praying for them, for wives with whom they can love and serve God together. And I've done it every year, and he's nearly 20 now. No, amen. And we need to, our children, they're open, aren't they? And we've got a lot of work with our young people, haven't we? I was in a conference only the last week where it said that they reckon there's only 2% of 18 to 25-year-olds in the UK that are following Jesus. So, oh my goodness, that's why our passion plays and our Liberator and our rhyming Bible are crucial. Yeah, I want to encourage you in that one because I was in children's ministry down south. I was stood with a vicar and they had a passion play. The local churches all got together. It was very much sort of amateur dramatics, but it was very, very good. Yeah. And we were stood there as so many people went by and said, why is that bloke being nailed to a cross? Yeah. Person after person after person. I just thought... They don't know the story, do they? No. Was it Billy Graham that said we're not reaching the people who know church now? We're 2 or 3 generations who have never stepped foot in a church. And when I used to do all-age services, people would come in and they were like, where do I sit? How do I behave? I've never been in the church before. And these are 50, 60-year-olds and their parents had never. And you're thinking... This is where we're at, and this is why what you're doing with Passion Play is so important. It is. It's crucial, absolutely crucial, because we have a generation that just don't know Jesus. Yeah, and they need to, because he changes, liberating. Tell us about the Liberator. What's that about? That excites me just by the name. So that really is a creative missional resource for churches. So the idea is that sometimes churches, they plan together, they partner together, and they put it on in a local theatre, or if they've got a big church, they put it on there. And it again tells Jesus' story from his baptism, some of his ministry life, some of the stories we know, his death and his resurrection. And again, We just want to show Jesus's story. We want it to be a missional resource for churches so that then people can then, find out more about Jesus and accept him as their savior.
Fabulous. Oh, it's so encouraging talking to you, just hearing about your grandfather praying for you, your grandchildren. It is such an encouraging story of the good that can happen.
Amen.
From, I'm sure there are more people, but just one person's prayer can affect so much, and our actions can affect so much. And when you've got actors acting to such a high standard, the impact and effect of that, it's just tremendous.
And the other thing we do is we've got 2 very talented music and songwriters. So a lot of our music is in-house as well. And it's outstanding. I'm so proud of the 2 guys that have been writing and creating these songs, which again means that we don't have to worry about, the legal side of using other people's songs.
It's complicated. Yes, we know very well. I want to encourage you, because when I was a young guy in church, I always got excited if someone were coming to do a service. It's like, this is a reason to go to church. And it wasn't even a bad church, actually. It was some good stuff. But when Saltmine came, it was like, okay, this is going to be good.
Oh, well, that's amazing, because we're over 40, well, in fact, 43 years old, Saltmine is. So
yeah, well, that's 31 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd have been 15. So yeah. And it was brilliant. It was really good. It was, get Saltmine here. Great, this is going to be good. I remember what they did was they had this bucket of water and they ran around it, and you knew you had water. You could see the water splashing.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know how, it was like some sort of magic trick. They picked up the same bucket and threw it at you with confetti.
Right.
And you kind of knew that it wouldn't be, but you knew that it was, and it should be. And it was superb, and it made such a point. I remember it vividly now. Wow,
it is. And it's the power of creativity, isn't it? The power of creativity and the power of story. I've got quite a lot of non-Christian friends. They will not that keen on coming to church, but they will come and watch a Saltmine production. And God is definitely working in them and through their hearts.
Because it's less threatening, I think.
It is, yeah.
But the message is still powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long? So it's 43 years Saltmine's been going.
Yeah.
Do you know what the story of the beginning is? How did it?
Well, 1980. So it started. Is that 1980? Yeah, 1980. It started, and it started with Dave Pope. And Dave Pope still lives in Dudley. I'm actually catching up with him next week. And so it started as very much an evangelistic sort of preaching and a band type of ministry. And then I think it was about 10 years into it, they then started having a theatre company. But it was part of, they had theatre and a live band and evangelists. But it's just evolved. Yeah.
Superb. If a church or school or group wants to know more, how can they get hold of you to say, can you come and help us?
So we've got a very active website, saltmine.org.uk. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. So you can access what we do and communicate with us really very easily.
Superb. Okay, so they can come to the website and they can get hold of you. I love the partnership working, always good. To work with other people means it's not a lone voice, it's a
absolutely
corporate voice. That's really cool. That's so powerful. Really thrilled to hear what you're doing, especially with the knife stuff, which is not a particular passion of mine, but it's something that I'm very conscious of. I just think we need to do something, and that's great.
No, we do.
Thank you, Rachel, so much.
It's a pleasure.
I feel really encouraged now, having chatted to you. It's really cool. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Okay, just give us the website one. I like to finish with the website. Just give us your website one last time.
So it's saltminetrust.org.uk.
Fantastically delivered. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciated it.
Pleasure.
And look forward to maybe catching a Saltmine at some point in the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can go on our website. We're touring around the UK at Christmas, so we might be doing a show near you.
There you go. Check it out, everybody. Thank you, Rachael.
Okay, bless you.
Bye for now.
Pure 24/7 radio is listener supported, which means we are free, online and always pure because of the generous support of our listeners. If you would like to contribute financially, please visit pure247radio.org. If you'd like to find out how we use your money, please visit the Our Cost section. Any donation of any size will help keep us on air and broadcasting for free. Thank you.